Yeah, no problem. Let you go because you're going live.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Herwire. I'm the owner of Herwire Financial Plans with Direction. Today is August the 22nd. Just another week until Labor Day. And today I'm going to do a quick market wrap up, and then we're going to talk about the problem we started with last week on Medicare and what happens if I am not wanting my family to go broke just because I got very ill or had an accident. Okay, a few important disclosures before we get into the meat of this presentation. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only, not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All data is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no representation is made as to its completeness or accuracy. None of this should be construed as tax or legal advice. Consult your advisor prior to taking any action. Let's do the roundup of the numbers from last night. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed out last night at 33,291.78. It's down about 8.4%, a little less than 8.4. The S&P 500 closed at 4199.12, down 11.9%. The NASDAQ 100 closed at 13,143.58 year to date, down 19.46%. Gold closed at $1,754.58 per ounce, down year to date 4.07%. The Bitcoin index closed at 21,687. Year to date, it's down a whopping 54 and about 0.75%. US dollar index closed at 108.42. Year to date is up 13 1/3%. The 10-year Treasury, it's over 3% now at 3.07%. It began the year at 1.51, so it's more than doubled. And the S&P Aggregate Bond Index, and for you quarry people, aggregate does not mean gravel in this case. It closed at 201.14. Year to date, it's down about 9 2/3%. Okay, so back on Medicare. Now, just to review, max out of pocket means the maximum amount of money you, if you're on Medicare, will pay out of pocket before they said you have had enough. You have Medicare Part A, B, and D, and nothing else. There is no maximum out of pocket. This means if you have a major illness or injury, your family could go broke. For those who wish to avoid this fate, you have to come to a fork in the road. I've arbitrarily picked the left fork as Medicare supplements and the right fork as the Medicare Advantage, also known as Medicare Part C. Like an actual fork in the road, you must pick one path or the other. Trying to go down both roads at the same time will be disastrous. By the way, before I continue on, I've got to warn you, there is a lot of generalization and a lot of omitted detail. If I start mixing in all the details, we'll be here till Labor Day, and most of us will be horribly confused. This is just to paint an overall picture. That's why you should always consult a licensed agent, preferably an independent one. Medicare supplements. The cost for a Medicare supplement varies by company and area of the country. Here in upstate New York, in the Albany area, they cost about $300 a month, and this does not include drugs. They are generally, no matter where you go in the country, more expensive than a Medicare Advantage plan. They do not cover prescription drugs. That's why you need a separate Part D plan to cover your prescriptions. When taking this path, you'll end up using 3 different cards to access your medical and drug services. First, you'll use the Medicare card. That's the red, white, and blue card. The Medicare supplement card, that's from the company you got the Medicare supplement from, and the Part D card. Okay, so when accessing medical services, with exception, Medicare pays part and the Med Sup plan pays the other part. Primarily the exception in this case, unless you have a Plan F as in Foxtrot, in which case this is very true as long as it's an approved Medicare procedure. But if you have, if you're a little bit younger and you have a Plan G as in golf, you will pay whatever the Part B as in Bravo deductible is. This year it's a little over $200. Next year, I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I imagine it'll be higher. Okay, the other fork in the road is Medicare Advantage. It's also known as Part C, although not commonly. Prices are all over the place, but many plans are actually $0 a month. They do include drug coverage. Medicare must approve the application. Once approved, when medical care is accessed, the recipient and the plan will pay all approved costs. There is a maximum out-of-pocket cost, max out-of-pocket for the recipient when accessing medical care. Does not count prescription drugs. There's still no max out-of-pocket. That may be changing in the future, but as it stands now, there's no limit to what you can spend on prescription drugs when you're in either a Medicare Advantage with Part D or a separate standalone plan. Okay, really important safety tip. This part will be on the quiz later. If you get a Medicare Advantage plan, do not get a separate Part D plan. In most cases, this will cause you heartache as Medicare will kick you out of the Part C plan. This part, like I said, will be on the quiz later. Consult your licensed agent. They'll help you avoid this particular pothole. What's the catch? Why would anybody possibly pick a Medicare supplement over a Medicare Advantage plan? Well, there's 2 catches: networks and out-of-pocket costs. Okay. With the Medicare supplement, there's only one question you need to ask the medical professional, and that is, do you accept Medicare? If they accept Medicare, then a Medicare supplement, the more expensive one, will absolutely cover them, as long as it's an approved procedure. I mean, they're not going to probably do a hair replacement, but if you've got an appendicitis, then, you know, they're in network. Okay. The other thing is out-of-pocket costs. Okay. The majority of the money you will pay for a Medicare supplement will come in the form of the monthly premiums. If you have a Plan G as in golf, you will only pay the Part B deductible, which, like I mentioned earlier, was a little bit more than $200 for the year. Other than that, every time you go to the doctor, get care, you don't pay. The only time you're paying, other than your monthly premiums after you knock out the Part B deductible, you will pay for meds. Medicare Advantage. Okay, you need to check to see if your doctor is in the network. If they're not in the network, you're going to pay more for visiting them in most cases. And in some cases, you'll pay the entire bill. The only way to check to see if they're in network is don't ask the doctor's office. Call your Medicare Advantage plan and find out if they're in network. Once approved for Medicare Advantage, when medical care is accessed, the 2 payers of the costs are the recipient, that's, you know, the Medicare recipient, and the plan. Medicare does not pay any of the costs. And there is a max out-of-pocket cost for the recipient when accessing medical care. Again, as I mentioned before, and I'll repeat this a few times because it's really important. Do you have a Medicare Advantage plan? You must take the drug care that's connected with that almost all the time. I mean, you don't have to take the drug care. I mean, if you've got, say, a retiree prescription plan, or you have access to the Veterans Administration, you may not need to get a Medicare Advantage with Part D included. But the key thing is, don't go get a separate Part D plan. Okay, Medicare Part D. This is the thing in the 3-card plan. You will need one of these if you have a Medicare supplement in most cases. The cost varies by plan. It's only really needed if you have a Medicare supplement. That's the more expensive of the 2 medical plans. For the most part, when you sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan, prescription drug coverage is included at no additional cost. There are penalties for late enrollment in Part D, just like Part B, which has a 10% per year penalty for late enrollment. With Part D, it is a 1% per month. An important note on these late enrollments. These plans, you do not, it's not like car insurance where you can go sign up just about any day of the week. There are certain limited windows. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And if you're an individual with higher incomes or a couple, you will pay more for Part D because there are surcharges. And as I mentioned before, as of this date, there is no maximum out-of-pocket cost for the recipient. Let's talk about enrollment periods. It's a fancy term for when can I sign up and am I stuck in the plan forever? And the discussion in this part of our broadcast will revolve around Medicare Part D, that's the standalone drug plans, and Medicare Advantage. And different rules apply for Medicare supplements, and they can vary from state to state. Initial enrollment period we've already discussed, but I'll just hit it really quickly. When you turn 65, there's a 7-month period around your birth month that you're allowed to sign up, and please do. Okay, every year, this is the part, am I stuck in the plan, I sign up forever? You're not. Worst case, you have the opportunity to change it towards the end of the year. And that's what the annual enrollment period is for. October 15th to December 7th of every year is the annual enrollment period. During this time, you can make changes for the coming year. And here's the nice thing. Suppose on October 15th, you sign up for the ABC Medicare Advantage plan. And 2 weeks later, you run into your neighbor and you're getting to talking and you figure out that XYZ Medicare Advantage plan is the better fit for you. Well, you still have time because it's not December 7th. So basically, whatever plan gets your application on or before December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, is the winner. When December 8th rolls around, your options are a tad more limited. Matter of fact, you have to wait till January if you want to make any change at all. That's when the open enrollment period starts, January 1st to March 31st. Now, unlike the annual enrollment period where you can change your mind as many times as you like, if you decide to make a change during the open enrollment period from January 1st to March 31st, you can do it one time and then it's done. Now, if April Fool's Day rolls around, you're pretty much locked in to whatever plan you're in, unless you qualify for a special enrollment period. There are a whole bunch of them. I'm only going to go into a few. Number one, moving out of the area. So if you sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan in Schenectady, New York, where I'm sitting right now, and you move to Orlando, Florida, well, that plan is not going to cover you in Orlando, Florida, and you got a couple months to make a change. Do not wait if you move. Get a hold of a licensed agent and figure out which one's right for you and make the change, because after a very short period of time, your plan that was great up here in Schenectady, New York will no longer be good. Got a little over 60 days. Number 2, 5-star plan. Special enrollment periods. Now, if you happen to live in an area that has a 5-star plan or plans, and you're not in a 5-star plan, you can say, hey, I'd like to jump over to this plan because it's got 5 stars. You can do that once per year. Matter of fact, we have a couple of companies up here in upstate New York that have 5-star plans. So this runs through November 30th. The last one I'm going to touch on is the State Pharmaceutical Assistance Program special enrollment period. I believe every state has one of these in one fashion or other. I'm just going to talk about the one in upstate New York. It's called EPIC. If you qualify and you are an EPIC member, you can make a change in mid-year just because you feel like it. Matter of fact, if for some reason you qualify for EPIC, but you did not sign up for a plan, or you can actually sign up for a plan in mid-year. Normally, you'd have to wait until October 15th to December 7th, but if you qualify for EPIC, you can sign up for a plan then and there. Don't know how it works in other states. Talk to a licensed agent in those states. Just to review, these things will be on the quiz later. There's a 7-month window around your birth month when you turn 65, where you're eligible to sign up for Medicare A, B, D, and C. Okay, if you don't sign up, you may be subject to penalties. These penalties may apply if you're still working. Now, a lot of times, especially nowadays, people are past 65 and they're still working. They say, yeah, I don't need to sign up. I got good coverage at work. That might be true. There's usually no harm in signing up for Part A because there's usually not a cost for it. I would recommend doing at least that. But I would talk to your human resources people, and I talk to Social Security to make sure you don't need to be signing up for D or B as in Bravo. And with Part D, you have to make sure your employer has a Part D equivalent plan. Most of them do, but I've seen 1 or 2 that didn't. If you get a Medicare Advantage plan, do not sign up for another standalone Part D prescription drug plan. There's a few exceptions to this. Contact an independent licensed agent. They'll help you go through this miasma that is Medicare. They may help you avoid expensive mistakes, and there is no cost for the consultation. There's not going to be a Facebook Live next week. I will see everyone on September 9th. Everybody have a great Labor Day. And just before you go, plug for my website, irwirefinancial.com. There's the schedule an appointment button at the upper right-hand corner, and there is a YouTube button between the LinkedIn and Facebook buttons where you can see my videos. I do Zoom appointments. I do in person. I do phone appointments. I am licensed and registered in several states. And even if I'm not licensed or registered in your state, you can call and we can have a discussion. And if there's sufficient interest, I can get registered or licensed. And for those who prefer email or phone, here is my contact information. My phone number is 518-631-2569. And my email is my last name, Herwire, @moneyfoundation.org. Thanks. Have a great week, and I'll see you on the 9th.